A yum. Ooh. We'll turn that down.
Greetings. So I come into the beginning of any class that we start here, the first class, except the last time she taught, I couldn't make it. So she's not used to this.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago, which I
Been a
thought
long
was
time.
3 months ago. That shows you how fast that went. So my name's Jill Marie. I'm the center manager here at the Knopf Center. And I think we just do this so that you have one more face of somebody you know. Steve Hale, he's our program assistant. Sandy Carlson, the teacher tonight. So we like you to get to meet different people at different times. Sandy will probably, you're going to go through, one of you, just the ins and outs of where bathrooms and
Always.
things are. Yeah, you do that. So I'm just here to say hello and to let you know a couple things. This is Buddhism in a nutshell, so you are on the right plane if you want to go to Cincinnati. And when there's Meditation 101, I always tell them that the center is open all week long. So a lot of people, especially if you're new, you would have no earthly idea that I'm working here all week. And you can come in and meditate. You can use the library, shop in the bookstore by all means. You can come to lunch bunch at 12 on Fridays, and I'll eat with anybody who walks in the door. And also, these classes, as I've spoken with some of you, it is a little surprising that they're donation only. Sandy will probably talk about it too, but we always like to have different perspectives on what it means donation only. So it doesn't always mean free, but it can if that's what you need it to be. But everything that the center does since like 1991 has been donation only. So they started out charging for classes in the beginning, and they decided to not do that anymore. So other centers around the world all charge. And when people travel, they're always surprised when they try to collect a fee, and they're just like, what? So we don't charge, and then you might just consider what it would cost if you took this online. Steve takes classes online, and some of them can be quite expensive, and from London, things like that. So we always pitch that, and then there's different ways to give: checks, cash, in our donation boxes, and there's also text giving. I have little slips of paper out by the outside if you want to see. You can just grab that and take it home with you. One student even gives monthly for Discovering Buddhism class, so there's different ways you can look at it. Then the other thing, what else if you wanted to sign up for our emails, you can sign up on the concierge desk outside. There's a sign-up sheet. You can go to our website, look under community, and just fill out that quick form with your name and email, and you'll start receiving emails. And if you get too many emails, you can just unsubscribe. So it's no big deal. You're welcome to do that. And I think that's it. So are you going to introduce Sandy?
I don't need an introduction. Hello.
I'll let her rip. So thank you for coming to the Knopf Center.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see some people up here. Normally when we start this, I've got everybody in the back, and I start pulling people up. It's really funny when we do this in the Western society. We all tend to do that, hang in the back. If you go over to Asia and any of those, these seats will be filled and that will be empty. So thank you, thank you, thank you for sitting up front. And I have only one person in the back. Hi. Well, welcome to Knopf Center. How many, I'm going to do some quick polls here just so I can get an idea of what's going on and what we have. How many people is this your first visit to Knopf Center totally? Okay, of those people, is this the first time you've ever entered a Buddhist center? Okay, well, congratulations. It wasn't so bad now, was it? It's kind of like that deer in the headlights. What am I walking into? So let me kind of explain a little bit. I'm going to do my first thing and turn my cell phone off. Everybody, hint, gentle hint. My name is Sandy Carlson. I have been coming to Knopf Center now for about 8 years. This is probably one of my favorite things to do at Knopf Center is lead this class. We all wear many, many volunteer hats. And I've done everything from membership and communications, and I'm on the board and just 52 million other things because that's what we do in a volunteer organization. But I'm serious. This is one of my favorite things to do. So you're going to have to bear with me for the next 5 weeks because I get excited. The first thing I would like to do, just to kind of see what's going on and how we're all kind of on the same page, so I'm going to take the microphone. It's nice when we get started with this particular class specifically is I'd like to go around the room. It'll take just a little bit of time, but it's worth it. Let's go around the room. I'd like you to introduce yourself. I'd like you to tell me where you're from, if you have any experience with Buddhism, kind of what brings you here today, because we're going to have people from all different, cultures, all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, all different levels. So it's nice to kind of get a gauge of who we are and why we're here, because this is going to hopefully turn into a great discussion group. And many times the people that come to this class that choose to continue to come to the center for whatever reason, y'all kind of hang together because you get into kind of a comfort zone, and it just makes it a little bit easier. Plus, I know we've got some people that have been, I know I've got a couple of ringers in here that know exactly what they're doing and are way more advanced than me. So just give me a brief introduction as to who you are and what brings you here today.
Hello, my name is Lisa. I'm from Moscow, Russia.
Well, welcome. Farthest student ever.
I don't know much about Buddhism. I studied a little bit of Buddhism in university, and the only book about Buddhism I've read was, I think, The Art of Happiness.
Best book ever. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Okay, well, welcome.
Don't start to be scared. Also from Russia, Lisa's
Do you
brother.
guys know each other?
Lisa's brother.
Okay.
Been to a number of classes already. I think I've started doing this in this August, but I have many friends who were into Buddhism, and I was also interested into looking into the Eastern theology.
Okay.
So that's it.
Well, welcome. So who brought him too?
Yeah, I'm Alex. Also, yeah, came from them. Why I'm here. I would say practicing some stuff for a while. So it's probably nice time to know some theory.
Yes.
I would say.
Okay. Now, who found out about Kadampa Center? Who brought who? Did y'all kind of decide to come together? Yeah. Okay. Because sometimes somebody, bring a husband or wife or daughter or son or something, and somebody's gotten drug along. I'm just making sure. Okay, yes, sir.
My name is Peter Martinson. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I've lived here for 24 years. It's probably a combination of midlife crisis, anger management, learning to meditate, sort of a lot of mental issues. That's why I'm here.
It's a good place to start.
Brian and Janice White. We're from New York and Connecticut, and briefly in California twice, but most recently from Connecticut. We're now in Cary. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I hear that makes sense. Been interested in learning meditation, and we've been circling Buddhism for probably over a decade, and we just never made it, and now we're here.
Hi.
My name is Marcy. I'm originally from Colorado. We've been in North Carolina for, 11 years maybe. What brings me here is that about a year ago, my daughter was diagnosed with a very rare and not too great disease. And when the doctors told us that there was nothing they could do for her, we started exploring alternative treatments. Okay. Things like, Reiki and meditation and energy healing. And in doing so, a lot of Buddhist teachings seem to coincide with a lot of the alternative treatments. And for the first time in my life, those things made sense to me, whereas traditional religions have not. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Shantae, and I'm originally from New York, and I've been down here for I think 7 months. And I guess I came here because my cousin told me that this would help me get through the passing of my mother.
Oh, okay.
My name is George. I'm originally from Delaware. Yay, Delaware.
Yay.
And I've lived in Raleigh almost 20 years now. And I am still searching.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm originally from Virginia. And I like the term they use, circling Buddhism. I feel like I've been circling Buddhism for 15 years, doing things here and there. One of my uncles is Buddhist, so just long conversations with him and taking classes at school, but never actually taking these concrete steps. So that's what's happening now.
Okay.
I'm Donald, and from North Carolina, live in Chapel Hill, and my wife has.
Those of you who had circling Buddhism, just very interested in the practice, always have been, and just in this world that we live in right now, it just seems like it's time to not just circle, but go ahead and step in. So.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brian Wright. I'm originally from Central New York. I've been down here for about 25 years, studying, practicing Buddhism for
Ringer,
quite a
people.
while. I've never taken this class before, so I wanted to check it out. So,
Hi, my name is Charlie Moore. I'm originally from Michigan, been here about 20 years, ex-neighbor of Brian's, so that's how I know about Kadampa Center. Been at least interested in Buddhism, the circling term, for many years. Just had some recent life changes, so I've come for a few of the Sunday sessions and found it very hard to follow. So I found this class.
Okay.
And wanted to point out that your anomaly about so many people sitting near the front has now been kind of ruined because 3 of them are from another
They're
continent.
from another country, so there you go. So I was so happy.
Hello, my name is Shepard Overton. I grew up down the road in Goldsboro, North Carolina. I've been in the Triangle area for quite some time now. And I guess just by virtue of having done some reading, and I've always kind of had an interest in Buddhism, and I've actually been to the center on one other occasion. But I thought it would be great. It just, the timeline happened to work out that I could come to the nutshell classes this time.
Okay.
You know, family commitments and stuff. But,
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be here on a Tuesday night.
Okay.
So my name is Manfred Meng. I'm from China initially, but I live in Raleigh for almost 11 years. So I practice meditation a lot and for many years, and now I want to systematically study about Buddhism, so that's why I come here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Kao Yichua. Relatively new to the Triangle, been here about a year, and been practicing meditation as well, and hopefully would like to get better at it.
Okay.
And learn a bit more about Buddhism as well.
Okay, perfect.
And my name is Eric. I'm originally from Oregon. Moved up from Raleigh, from Fayetteville to Raleigh about 4 months ago. Previously, about 17 years ago, practiced Kagyu.
Okay.
Had a decade-long break, and actually found the Kadampa Center because my GPS took me here when it was supposed to take me to North Hills Mall. And was like, I think that means something. So I came in.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So.
No, I've gone to Meditation 101 and Discovery Buddhism.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, 'cause I know that there's a couple of people that are already coming. Oh, we've got one more. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rick. I've lived down here for 24 years, so I've lived here longer than I have anywhere else. But kind of maybe midlife crisis type of a thing. I need to get my mind right, I guess. I've been very unhappy, and I have nothing to be unhappy about. But I picked up an introductory to a Buddhism book last week. A lot of it made sense to me. I'm not a fan of organized religion, so a lot of what I've read so far has made sense to me. So I
Okay.
want to check it out further.
Perfect. Perfect. It takes a little bit of time. Like I said, we're kind of setting a foundation. Tonight my plan is to set a little bit of a foundation because we're all coming from so many different places. And so if we can kind of set a little bit of a foundation so that when we start this class, we're all kind of a little bit on the same page somewhat, because you can see all the different reasons that people would come and check it out. We have a lot of people that come from like world religion classes too. Sometimes it's just curiosity. And for whatever reason, it's all okay. It is all okay. But I find it very helpful to kind of get on that little bit. I'm hoping that we create a lot of discussion. Tonight is going to be, I'm going to be throwing a bunch of just straight up facts and information to kind of set this foundation. And then the following 4 classes, we're going to start talking about some of the deeper concepts and karma and emptiness and some of these, the basis of Buddhism and the study of the mind. But it helps us to all kind of get a little bit on the same page when we start. And I hope that when we do this, because I really like the interaction, I like the discussion. I find that it is more helpful for people who are involved, because then you get your questions asked. And especially for this class, you're all so new. And you've never been to a Buddhist center, and you don't know, everybody wants to be so politically correct and so careful about asking things. And so I really throw this wide open, okay? We'll have a great discussion. Ask your questions. This is the time. This is a very safe, comfortable place. So it's just kind of getting down to it and figuring it out. But so my name is Sandy Carlson. I have been, I'm kind of one of those fortunate ones. My mom and dad, back in the day, my dad was Lutheran, my mom was Catholic, and even back then, they weren't allowed to get married. They had to elope, because even in the Western world, 50, 60 years ago, that just wasn't cool. So my father was military, and so we lived all over the world, and they opened up the whole world to us. And they presented all of these ideas and all of these original religions and spirituality and world politics and everything. I really am a fortunate person for how that openness that I was raised with will be dealing with trains the whole time. So again, this is a mindfulness study too. Just let it go. But they did. They opened it up. And even as a child, I was always drawn to the Eastern philosophies very much. But my brother's Catholic, my sister's Lutheran, and I'm Buddhist. And it all works. It makes for very interesting Christmases sometimes. But I'm just very fortunate that I had that. Now, I, too, probably circled Buddhism for many, many years. I read, I studied on my own, because we were living in a lot of places they really didn't have those opportunities for me. So I did a lot of that reading on my own, and a lot of what I considered very good theoretical knowledge was, really good, but I had these kind of black holes. And so having experiential knowledge and theoretical knowledge are 2 different things to me. And so when I came to Kadampa Center about 9, 10 years ago, all of a sudden I've got this opportunity to study with real Tibetan monks, to study with practitioners that are 25 years, 30 years into this path. And I just found things starting to click for me, and all of these these black holes, what many of you, I think, are going to experience now on this path. It's all of a sudden it's going to be, oh, that's what that means. Oh, I get it. That's what that means. So you'll feel that, and you'll have that experience. And the more, for those of you that are circling and kind of, swirling, coming down, that is a never-ending journey. I'm going to tell you that right now. Do not think you're going to leave this class and know about Buddhism and go, aha, I got it. This is the beginning, and it's the taste of it. So kind of my job, the way that I see it here, is to just help you on that next step of the rung, okay? I don't call myself a teacher, okay? I lead this class, I don't teach this class. And there's a big difference that we're going to get into in a little bit about some of this terminology. Another thing I'm going to throw at you is glossary terms, because we have to be on the same page so that we understand what we're talking about. So I'm going to try to be very clear about terminology when we do this. If at any time you have a question, stick your hand up. Okay, ask it. Make sure that I'm clear. I will have you speak into the mic when you talk. We record these classes, just the audio, and you can find all of these recordings. You get bored with me in class, you can go listen to what I talked about a year ago. All of this stuff, or find one of the other Buddhism in a Nutshell teachers that are much better than me. So you can find all of these teachings on our website too. So it's just checking it out and seeing what's going on. Okay, logistics. If you walk out that room and turn left, the bathrooms are right around the corner. This is an easygoing class. If y'all need to, go get a drink, go get, a cup of coffee or water, get it, go ahead and bring it in. Okay, again, I want to keep this very relaxed, comfortable. Restrooms are right around the corner. Take a break, get up. we will try some different, meditations just to kind of ease you into it, because that's the basic tool that we use in Buddhism. So if you want to check it out, you want to sit on a mat for the meditation and get back up in the chair, do it. This is the place to check things out, okay? So I want you to be comfortable with that. If you do have coffee, if you do have water, if you use one of the cups, if it's throwaway, perfect. If it's not, then please go into the kitchen, which is further, and wash your own cup. I have enough dishes at home. We are all volunteers here, so it's kind of, we'll be policing each other. Now, this is a smaller class, which I'm happy about because it allows us to talk a little bit more, because sometimes the parking and stuff can get a little full, and we'll probably ease down as people decide maybe I'm too boring for them and don't come back next week. But so sometimes it can get a little bit busy in here, or if there's something going on, you might see a lot of activity. And I think that we're all okay now. The only place that you really can't park if we get full here is there's a corner lot in the back over there. Don't park there because they've got like some big trucks and stuff that they want to be careful of. So I think that's the only thing we have to worry about with parking. Recommended books, like I said, I'm just going to start regurgitating information right now. Go with it. It will get fun later. So the books, we have some good recommended books. This particular class is based on this book called Buddhism in a Nutshell. And it was written by Venerable Amy Miller, who is a Western nun. Okay, she comes here and teaches at Kadampa Center. She travels through. Actually, a lot of our teachers travel throughout the United States and over with the other FPMT centers. FPMT, the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. Big mouthful. FPMT.org is a great website with a lot of information. I'll write some of the stuff down for you so that you can kind of follow along with it if you want to find out some further things. But Buddhism in a Nutshell is this overview course that was written by Venerable Amy Miller, and just about 90% of what I talk about is going to be in this book. Now, we have 5 sessions that go from 7 to 8:30 on Tuesday night for the next 5 weeks. And we're going to be skimming a lot of topics. We are going to be having discussions. We're going to be doing some meditation. So I don't have as much time as she does in this book to go through things. And she's got a full audio CD, okay, in the back. Old school now, but it's there. So to find out, maybe make sure that I'm correct about things, or if you want a deeper information, this is a great book, and I highly recommend this one. Some of the meditations, we will do just a few, again, just an introductory type, just to get people kind of online with some of the stuff. This class alternates with Meditation 101. How many took that class already? Yeah, so we're going to do about the same types of things. These classes are very good introductory type courses. There are some really good meditations in here. They're very much focused Tibetan Buddhism things, but you'll find some interesting things in this book, Kathleen McDonald, and then my favorite, Buddhism for Dummies. Okay, love this book. This is probably the 10th book I bought because I share it and I give it away. This is kind of your nuts and bolts and a lot of the terminology and just the dates, okay? We're going to go over through some of the dates and some of the facts tonight, but I'm going to skim them because you can read them, okay? For me, the facts are very interesting. I like to know that, Buddha was around the same time as Socrates and Confucius, stuff like that. But it's not really my thing, so you can read the facts, you can read the dates, you can read some of the, historical references and stuff. For me, Buddhism is really the concepts and the way that I can work with my mind. So for facts and stuff, I highly recommend this book. Okay? And there's a ton more out there. The Art of Happiness is probably one of my all-time favorite books. That's by the Dalai Lama. So if you're looking for something that's just really good reading, I can't recommend that one highly enough. This class has no tests. I will try to assign some homework for those who want it. More fun type of things, again, about being mindful. So I'll give you some of the things that I do, some little tricks, some thought processes, again, because part of this whole thing is about learning to work with your mind. We do have handouts. If you go to Kadampa Center, kadampa-center.org, go to Spiritual Programs, Introductory Programs, Buddhism in a Nutshell, and pull up that page. there is, I want to say like 10 handouts that we'll be using. And go ahead and download them if you want to, okay? So it'll have some of the basic meditations, it'll have some of the information. So that's all there on the website already. All right, let's start with just a basic, very quick little meditation just to kind of get everybody centered here. And I'm going to start you, again, those of you that have already done the meditation, okay, well, that means I better go to the gym, I better start practicing, I better start working out so that I can get there, so when I go to run this marathon, I'm prepared. Concentration meditation is about that preparation, working out, learning to work with your mind, testing it, pushing it, focusing it, learning how to use it properly so that when you go into an analytical meditation where we're going to actually work on concepts, argue with ourselves about what do we really believe. I want to work with my anger. I want to work with these things. I now have the tool of the mind to do it. So there's two different forms of meditation and different ways that we work on it. And that's probably a really good just snapshot of meditation from a Tibetan Buddhist perspective, okay? You can't just sit and think about nothing. So we give our mind something to work on with the concentration, and then we choose to work on a subject that we want to either do more of. I want to do a meditation on love and compassion because I want to improve my mind that way. I want to do a meditation on anger and impatience because I want that to go away. So that's how we learn to work with our mind a little bit. But now we're using our mind to work on our mind. So the analogy is we are a car mechanic working on a car while it's going 70 miles down the freeway. A little tough. So again, that's why some of these specific meditation that we have, these are tools to learn to work with your mind, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start basic for those of you that have never done this, and we're going to do just a very brief meditation to get you guys kind of in the zone a little bit here. The first thing we're going to do, these are the handouts, they're all on the website, and I'm just going to go through them so that I'm very clear about it and you're learning the right way. Because I've been doing this so long, sometimes I'll just zip through and I don't even think about it and I'll not pay attention. So I'm going to follow the handout. The first part is the posture. There is nothing holy about sitting on a cushion. Okay? I'm an old lady, I'm chubby, and I have bad knees, so I don't sit on cushions. All right? It's about being comfortable and giving yourself a stable position. Everything that we do, there's like this common sense thing about it. There's no woo-woo here. Okay? It's very commonsensical, and when you learn it and you understand it, then it makes sense. And so it just works to just be a little bit more down to earth. So when you're sitting, we'll start with your legs. If you're sitting in a chair, just get comfortable. Put both feet on the ground. Sometimes it's nice to have a pillow underneath your feet because these feet the cushions can get cold. Try to sit a little bit more forward in the chair so you're not slumping. If you're on a cushion, you want to sit a little bit more forward again so you're not slumping. Get that Zafu cushion just a little bit behind your hips a little bit so it rocks you forward a little bit. You want to be comfortable, whether it's the full lotus, half lotus. Again, it's not so much about the, holiness of this position. It's about you trying to give yourself a stable base that you're going to be able to sit in for a period of time. The arms. So in our tradition, we put the right hand on the left and we put it just below our navel. Okay? The right hand on the left. You're going to touch your thumbs together, creates a little teardrop, and you place it just below your navel. Why do we do this? Because, believe it or not, it brings your arms out a little bit, so it allows the air circulation. Okay? Again, this stuff is all just very basic. There's also a lot of different meaning with the hand mudras. We're not going to deep dive on some of the stuff that in Buddhism, in all Buddhism, it's like the layers of an onion. You peel it back, there's 52 million different meanings, okay? This class is Buddhism in a nutshell, so I'm going to keep it very top level, and we're not going to deep dive too much. But you keep your arms kind of akimbo, okay? Shoulders and arms are relaxed. And again, this allows you to have that breathing space. Your back needs to be straight. I don't want it to be stiff, but I want it to be straight. It becomes more, so if you think of like coins stacking, it helps to keeps the energy flow. It opens up those, chakras, all of those different things, your energy level, and it's just easier to keep that straight. And then I also try to think about bringing my shoulders back a little bit. This isn't in a handout, but if you think about your shoulders and back at the same time, because if you bring your shoulders back, it helps your back to be straighter. It also opens your lungs up for the breathing a little bit. And again, so it's just, you'll fall into it. You just have to start doing it, and then it starts to work a little bit better for you. Your eyes. In the beginning, many people like to just meditate with their eyes closed. Okay? I still do. All right? In a perfect world, you'd like to have your eyes slightly open and maybe kind of zoning in front of you, not really focused, but maybe 4 or 5 feet in front of you, but not open and not closed, because when you're closed, you have a tendency to get drowsy, and if they're too wide open, you can be distracted. So the perfect, the perfection is just to have it just kind of not focusing, but just somewhere on the floor in front of you. Your jaw and your mouth. Okay, we're not clenching our teeth, but you have your jaw is closed, your mouth is relaxed, teeth slightly apart, and your lips just lightly touching or slightly open, and your tongue is touching the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. Why? It helps to reduce saliva. Again, there's a reason, a very pedantic reason for all of this. We're trying to create this base that allows us to focus in and not worry about our bodies while we're working with our minds. The head is slightly inclined forward. I like to pretend there's like a string at the top of my crown, and if I pull it, it elongates my back and my neck and pulls my head forward. Again, you're not going to look straight ahead because you'll be too distracted, and you're not going to look down because you can get too drowsy, so it's just that little bit of a lean forward. That is called the 7-point meditation posture. And so when you start working with this, it gets easier and easier, and you'll fall into it a little bit more every time. Okay, we're going to do just a very brief one called the Barre attention exercise. Take a deep breath. And our motivation. We're going to create an altruistic motivation for this meditation session. And we want to think that we're meditating not just for our own individual benefit, but we're taking the time now to meditate, develop our mind, to become a wiser and kinder person, able to be of benefit to all beings. So it's kind of a lofty goal, but if we just think about it, we just want to be a better person. So start by focusing your attention at the opening of your nostrils. Pay attention to the very subtle sensations as you breathe in and out through your nose. And you can feel certain sensations as the air passes. The small hairs move, cooler sensations as you inhale, warmer as you exhale. Don't follow the air into your body or out into the surrounding environment. Place your attention on the sensations associated with the breath at the opening of your nostrils. Think of yourself as a gatekeeper, watching the breath flow past as it enters and exits the body, keenly observing everything that arises in this area of focus. In the beginning, if you find it helpful for concentration, you can mentally note in, out, in, out, with each inhalation and exhalation. Use your breath as an anchor for your attention. If your mind is especially scattered and distracted, place more emphasis in your meditation on the element of concentration, focusing your mind more firmly on your breath. Distractions are very normal. Your attention may be distracted by a thought or by an external sound or sensation in your body. As soon as you wake up and realize this, that you're not thinking about your breath, simply take a note. Thinking about it. Don't get upset or disturbed. Don't judge yourself. Just very gently disengage from that thought or distraction and return your attention to the breath. In, When you gain a deeper level of concentration and focus, you can loosen your concentration slightly and place greater emphasis on the element of mindfulness in your meditation. Allow your mind to be attentive and observant of whatever comes to notice, regardless of what it is. Don't identify with the mental elements arising, simply observe them like a tourist. Allow them to arise as you observe them and pass away without getting involved. Just be aware. As you gain greater and greater mastery over this kind of meditation, then each time the mind wanders from the breath, just begin to note specifically how and where it's wandered. Thoughts of the past, present thinking, fantasizing, future planning. What kinds of thoughts tend to attract your mind's attention? And what does this indicate about any potential delusions that play a role in your life? Throughout the day, check whether or not you're being mindful. Do you always know what you're doing while you're doing it? Meditation is not an isolated activity. It can be an integral part of our lives. Okay, we're going to do a dedication. So we're bookending our activity here. We did a motivation at the beginning as to what we wanted and why. And now we're going to dedicate all of this positive energy that we created through this practice of mindful meditation to becoming a better person who's more at peace in life and who can bring peace and well-being to others in every moment of every day. So for whatever reason it brought you to Kadampa Center, whatever reason brought you here tonight, whatever reason has you sitting on a cushion or in a chair in the middle of a Buddhist center in Raleigh, North Carolina, dedicate that wonderful effort that brought you here tonight. And bring your attention back to the room. So that is a very brief introduction to what is a concentration meditation. You hear about people meditating on their breath or on a candle or on a visualization. So that's just one little thing, that 7-point meditation posture. If you're thinking about trying this, go through that posture every single time, and it will start to feel more natural and better as you do it. And then that's just a very brief, intro to meditation. Okay, does anybody have any questions as to what I've talked about so far? Okay. Again, this class, I'm just going to start throwing some facts at you, and then kind of explain what we're going to do for the next 5 weeks and how this is all going to work. Okay. Yes.
It was helpful to have the guided part of this meditation. It was helpful to have the guided part. Is there a way to be able to do that at home, or is?
So I've actually done this a couple of ways. Okay, with these handouts, because they are like that. I mean, I have literally taken and recorded it on my phone and just listened to. My husband's got an awesome voice, so I've actually made him do it. So that's one good way. On the Kadampa Center website, again, we record all of these, so sometimes you can go through and find some of the things there. I think we've even, I'd have to look, because I think we've even got some that are
YouTube.
Yeah.
You can go to YouTube and enter Kadampa. You can enter His Holiness does the non-round breathing meditation on YouTube. It's hilarious because of his accent, and he's very elaborate. But there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I do that as well. Just just listen to it, not necessarily watch the screen.
Yeah, and you'll find, and again, some of the things, so supermarket man, cherry pick through, find out what's working for you, and do that, and let the rest go. You're going to hear a lot of concepts and a lot of different things. When I first started coming, and it was like they're throwing all this stuff, I built this imaginary bookshelf in my mind, and I don't really get what they're talking about. I put it up there. Don't really get it. I put it up there, and then all the time I'm like, oh, that's what that means. So it's checking it out. There are a lot of guided meditations on YouTube. Now here's the other funny thing about it, that Tibetan Buddhists don't sit here and do meditation on stress management, okay? But the funny thing is, when you do these meditations with the breath and with the breathing and with all of these different 9-round breathing, all these, the byproduct of this is stress reduction, okay? It's really fascinating, and there's statistical evidence on this, okay? The byproduct of this type of meditation is calmer, is less stress, is less anger. The byproduct of this type of meditation, these things happen. And I've been doing this for a lot of years, and it does work for me. My husband can tell when I'm in my zone and, on my regular practice, much nicer person. So yeah, check out some of those. There are some other ones, and there are specific ones. So, and we can talk about that as we go, because for people that are looking for specific things, again, they're very specific. Tibetan Buddhism is like school. They have specific antidotes for issues. This is a very scholarly, very straightforward study, okay? And that's one of the reasons why I like it, because it's so specific, and I need that. So, Kadampa Center, let's just do a brief. Kadampa Center has been here for 25 years now. We have members that they started this back in a living room. It was a reading group. We are, again, a part of the FPMT. Now, I'm going to have you come up later after class and check this stuff out so you can see. So way back in the day, way back in like the 60s, okay, when all of the hippies over here were heading over to Tibet and Nepal to go meet with the Dalai Lama, have a little bit of, happy herbs, and play over there. There was a couple of monks that decided if everybody's coming over here to us, we really should go to them. Lama Zopa Rinpoche and Lama Yeshe actually came over here back in the 60s and 70s, and they started teaching around the United States. You can find all of this history on the FPMT, but they started teaching around the United States and Europe, and it just started growing. And now, after all of these years, there are over 160 centers worldwide that are part of that FPMT organization that they have started. Kadampa Center is one of them. We are a Buddhist center in the Gelugpa tradition, and what does that mean? So Tibetan Buddhism has 4 schools. Okay, it's just like the Methodist, the Baptist, and all that stuff. It's all the same. Buddhism is all the same. I don't care if it's Zen, Mahayana, Theravada, and we'll get into this a little bit. Same core, just slight differences in the focuses. Okay, so Kadampa Center has been here 25 years. We have 2 resident teachers, Geshe Gelik Choda, Geshe Palden Sangpo. Geshe is a title. It's like doctor. It's like PhD. Okay, so his name is Geshe Gelik Choda. His name is Gelik Choda. His title is Geshe, and that is 30+ years of study. And not only is Geshe Gelik a Geshe, he's a Larumpa Geshe, which means he's like summa cum laude. So we have these very amazing, deep, high teachers here. And that is very rare. We are very fortunate. Another factoid, Raleigh is the 10th largest city in the United States for a Buddhist population. Blew me away. That came out a few years ago. I did go look on the U.S. Census to make sure, because we have Chinese Buddhism, we have Vietnamese Buddhism, we have Zen. This is a very large population in Raleigh. I found that very surprising. The lineage. Okay, so let's talk about lineage for just a minute so you understand the importance of these teachers. The Dalai Lama was who I was always kind of attracted to when I was young. That was a big reason, I think, for my wanting to study Buddhism. I had read about him, heard about him, just read all of his books. And so when I found a center, I wanted to make sure that I was in that lineage of His Holiness the Dalai Lama so that I knew what I was going to be taught. Okay, I knew exactly that lineage. These teachers, okay, Geshe Gelik and Geshe Sangpo, their teacher, Khyentse Rinpoche, he works with the Dalai Lama. He actually was the abbot of one of the largest monasteries in India, and he was appointed by the Dalai Lama. So why is that important to me? Because I know that they all talk. So I just have this feeling that the Dalai Lama hears about what happens at Kadapa Center in Raleigh, and it makes me feel good. A little story from my head. But it's very important because then I know what I'm going to get. It's just like when you choose a college, and you want that specific college because you know that what you're going to get there is a great education because it's proven. That's that same reason why lineage is so important. And these teachers can recite. Geshe Gelik can sit here and tell you who his teacher was, who his teacher's teacher was, who his teacher's teacher's teacher was, and they can track this all the way back. This is the importance of lineage. It's one of the reasons why when we came in here that I explained to you who I am. Even though I'm not a teacher, you need to know where I'm coming from. What is my background since I'm up here telling you guys all this stuff? Okay, and again, my job is not to tell you Sandyisms. My job is to tell you what Geshe and Geshe Sangpo have taught me. Okay, so the lineage is very, very important. Kadapa Center, the events, Jill talked about it a little bit. So check it out. All of the things that you guys are talking about, we have all of these different classes and opportunities for you guys to learn a little bit more. Because we have 5 weeks where, I'm going to have 20 minutes to talk about karma. Okay, maybe half an hour if I push it. Maybe 45 minutes to talk about emptiness in the 4th session. We have classes where you'll have 6 weeks to really delve into what karma is or any of these deeper concepts that you want to know. So Monday nights is the Discovering Buddhism. That's a 2-year course that has 14 different modules that will do those deeper dives. You can step into this whenever you want to. I think the one that they're doing right now is called Establishing a Daily Practice. For those of you that want to really sit down and create a daily practice, Himmat Pandya, a very good friend of mine, is teaching that class. And so if you wanted to actually learn about how to establish a daily class, go to Monday nights. Okay? Wednesday nights we do a Lam Rim class. Different teachers teach that. It's just dependent on if one of the Geshes is in town because they travel so much. But they do a Lam Rim class, and they talk about some of the different things that Lama Zopa Rinpoche was just here in Black Mountain doing an international retreat. And so we're focusing on some of the things that he taught us at that. So Wednesday night's a great one. Friday nights, sometimes there's a class called the Basic Program, and that's the one class that we have here that does require prerequisites. So that's nothing you can go to yet, but it's something to aspire to because that's the deep diving. Okay. What else? Sundays are open. Sundays have open discussion. It's not so much like that church service that I think we're all used to in the Western type where you go and you listen to a sermon type of thing. This is very much a discussion. We think of this as a school. This is more like a school than a church. Buddhism in its purest form is not a religion. It's a way of life. When we get into this is a way of life. It's a science of the mind. It's a philosophy. It's just like going to the gym and you're practicing yoga. Well, you're practicing Buddhism here. And you'll see people with notebooks and notes and this is a school more than what I think we think of from the Western perspective of a religion. And so we'll talk about some of that and get that into a little bit more, I think, cohesive thought as we go. Okay. Any questions yet? Because it's gonna start firing at you. Okay. Shakyamuni Buddha. Prince Siddhartha Gautama. He was just a man. He was not a god. We do not worship him. He is not a god. He is a man. So that's the first thing I need everybody to understand. I went to one class and the teacher said, he was a man, he lived, he died, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And we're moving on. I'll go into a little bit more details, but it truly is really critically important for people to understand he's not a god. He was a man. He was born 2,600 years ago to a wealthy family, okay, a king and queen. And he was very, what's a good way to put this? Like I say, he was born into this wealth of this family. When he was born, they brought in, because we're talking 2,600 years ago, they brought in a seer to give a reading over him. And this seer said he's either going to be a great king or he's going to be a great spiritual leader. Well, the king, like any dad, wants him to follow in his footsteps, so he starts to do everything he can in his son's life to raise him to be a great king and push away any of the spiritual life, right? So he kept him very sheltered, and he lived in this beautiful palace with, you know, all of the fine things around him. And the king, his dad, just like, you know, we have our children and we wrap them in cotton wool, we want to take care of them, we don't want any, you know, sadness or hurt to come around them. Well, he was very protected. And so his family, actually, they didn't see old people. Anybody that got sick was kept out of there. I mean, he was a very, very sheltered life. When he was in his, and again, this is where go look up the facts, probably mid-20s, you know, later 20s, he got out of the palace one night. He and a bunch of friends snuck off. I can't tell you how many times my boys did that kind of thing. Same thing. So they snuck out into the town and around the countryside. And he saw 4 sights. He saw a sick person. He'd never really seen a sick person before. He saw an old person. He'd never seen anybody really old. He saw a dead body. And he saw a wandering mendicant. He saw a monk. Okay, so he's seeing all of these things that are pretty horrific sights. If you've never seen this before, you know, we, in this Western world, we live a pretty sheltered life. How many of you have never seen a dead body? There's a few, okay. Or gone to a hospital and really seen really old people and suffering. We tend to kind of put that stuff away. All of our television commercials about how to be young. You know, we don't really show age here. So in many ways, we do somewhat the same things. Well, this really bothered him. This really bothered him. And it's just, you start, like we're all asking these questions now. You know, we're having midlife crises. We're feeling this. Same thing that he was doing. Why? What is all of this? How can we be, you know, so unhappy? How do I know now I'm going to get sick? I'm going to die? I'm going to get old? That's what I've got to look forward to? And then he saw this monk that was, you know, still a good, happy person out amongst this. And said, well, what is he doing? How come this is, you know, we all should be devastated. So this really bothered him. And he spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. And then he just decided he's got to go. He's got to step out and figure this out. And he's got to start answering all of these questions in his own way. Okay, so he left. He left the palace. He left. He went, his first try at this, and again, you have to think of India back in the day, his first try at trying to figure this out, because you've got all of these people in India, you've got all of these different, you know, that was just rife with so many different religions, so many different ways of doing things. So he just started trying to find these different methodologies and different things. He found a group of 5 ascetics, okay, so that they just focused in, they weren't eating, they gave up all of their possessions, they gave everything away. So he went from this lush life all the way to the opposite extreme. You've seen those pictures, I think, where you pictures of the Buddha where you can see every single rib, you know, the stories he subsisted on 1 grain of rice a day. And so he went and he got in with this group of these 5 people, and he was with them for a long time, trying to study, trying to figure this out, asking these questions, trying to meditate, trying to do all of these things. And it just really wasn't working for him. And the story goes that at one point he was laying by the side of the river, just totally weak, tired, hungry. And this young man in a canoe or a boat went by, and he had something that would, I think, be akin to us to have a lute or a guitar. And he was talking to the musician, and the musician said, well, I can't tie these strings too tight, and they can't be too loose. In order to make them beautiful music, they have to be kind of in the middle. So he had a little bit that aha moment of, you know, okay, I'm strung way too tight over here. And the story goes that there was a young woman that brought him back to health, and he decided, you know what, I lived that life of extremes on both ends. And neither one is working. I'm so weak I can't even meditate, I can't even think. The other way, I was so coddled that I couldn't breathe and I couldn't think and see things clearly. And so he literally went off on his own, and he went to Bodh Gaya, and that's where he sat under the Bodhi tree. And the story is he sat there and he looked at he looked at his mind. Shakya Muni Buddha. Shakya means clan, that's the family. He was from the Shakya clan. Muni means sage, and Buddha means enlightened one. This is so old school, but I wasn't going to take the time to hook up my PowerPoint. Okay, so what does enlightenment mean? I better start watching my time too. Okay, so what does enlightenment mean? Fully awakened. Fully awakened. That means we removed all the obscurations, take all the negative out, and fully develop all virtuous and positive states of mind. Okay, fully awakened, remove all the negative, and bring in all the positive. Now, since he was not a god, he could not get up and go out and say, I grant you enlightenment. Okay, he couldn't do it. He's not a god. So what did he do? The next best thing. He started teaching people how he did it. Okay, not a god. He was a teacher. He was a discoverer. Okay, so he became a teacher. Who did he teach? Who was his first people that he taught? Those 5 mendicants, those 5 people that he hung out with. First he went off by himself to make sure that he had it down for a little bit, and then he came out, and then they saw him, and it was like, and they noticed, boy, you know, what's up with you? You look a little different. And he said, I figured it out. And so he started teaching them first. They were his first students. The first teaching that he did was at Sarnath, and they call it the turning of the wheel of Dharma. So there's like 3 or 4 turnings of the wheel depending on how you look at it. What does that mean? That's like that big aha, here's a world-changing, life-changing teaching. And the first turning of the wheel of Dharma is the teaching of the 4 Noble Truths. We're going to go over here now. This is where we start to get a little fun. Okay, so the 4 Noble Truths. How many, this is your first blush at never heard that terminology. Okay, so the 4 Noble Truths is the very first teaching of the Buddha. Okay, and it's the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth to the cessation of suffering, the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. Suffering, suffering, suffering. This is what I always hear. Buddhists, they always talk about suffering. It is always so depressing. You can actually turn this around. The truth of happiness, the truth of the cause of happiness, the truth to have more happiness, and how do I get there? Okay? This is really, we're going to use this entire class because we're going to break this down. Okay? There's so much meaning in this. If we knew, okay, let's do this. Remove all negative. Okay, what are some negative mind frames? Anger. What else? Jealousy. Ignorance. Doubt. Hate. Fear. Loaded word. We're going to be careful of that one. Okay. Positive. Okay. Okay, there's 2. Enlightenment. Loaded word. Compassion, I heard. Okay. Okay. If we could get rid of all of this stuff in our minds and only have this, don't you think we'd be happier? It's that easy. That's what all of this is about. Getting rid of this, making more of this. Duh, I'm not joking. I'm that serious. It is that simple. Okay? Easy to say. Now, how do we do it, right? So, patience and anger. Patience is the antidote to anger. Love is the antidote to hate. Okay? Compassion is the antidote. There's some other words over here that we kind of roll into each other. Okay? Jealousy and peace or contentment. Okay? So we'll be working on these. Okay? Because how do you start to try to see some of these things, and I'm going to get real specific here. I used to always think of myself as a very easygoing person. I am not an angry person. I really am not. So I would I wouldn't even pay too much attention to that. I'm not angry. I don't need. I'm an impatient person, though, waiting in that line, that red light. Okay? Somebody not doing what they're supposed to do, so now I have to wait. So impatient. I'm an impatient person. Impatience is the first step on that ladder of anger. Very rarely do you just flame into anger, right? Usually it's a build, okay? You're stewing on it, right? So if we learn these tools to find and stop that before we can escalate it. So I have little tricks, okay? I used to be, because I'm always running. I'm running off to meetings, doing all of these things. Red lights used to just torque me because it's like, it's such a waste of time. I mean, really. But you know what? Now I've been doing this for years now. And now I have this little thing that when I get to a red light, I have these little prayers that I say. And now it's like, I got to get through this prayer before that turns green, and I'll actually have the not yet, not yet, not yet. So I've totally changed my mind. Just break it. It's, so what? I'm spending, a minute at the red light saying a prayer. So I have these little joke things that I can do like this, mindfulness tricks that help me to be a less impatient person. So again, there's tools. These are tools to be looking at your mind. Your mind's different than yours, different than yours. You may not need impatience. You may need more compassion. I don't know. But this is about you need to learn your mind and then what works for your mind. And there are specific things that work with all of these. Okay? But it's that simple. All we want is to be able to get rid of this and get more of this. And that's enlightenment. So we're going to be talking about Dharma. Dharma, that which protects. You're going to hear this word a lot, Dharma. That which protects or holds. So the conventional Dharma are these teachings. This is a Dharma book, okay? This is Dharma. These up here, these are those orange little boxes up there. Those are all the teachings of the Buddha, 83,000 teachings of the Buddha. That's conventional Dharma. These prayers, all of the symbolism, that's Dharma. Ultimate Dharma is the realizations that come along. So when you do those aha moments, that's Dharma too. It's like all of a sudden when you get it, because now you own it. Okay, so that's Dharma too. Start watching my time. It starts to fritter away on me real quick. Everything about Buddhism is about the mind. Every single thing in this room, every single thing in this center, every single thing in Buddhism is about your mind, period. Okay? This is about your mind. This entire practice, this entire study, this entire philosophy is about your mind. So, Buddha came back. He started teaching, and then Buddhism spread. Okay? India, Sri Lanka, Asia, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, Tibet. And it would start in a country, and then it would fade, and then it would have a resurgence in a country, depending on who was in power. All right? And there's many different Buddhist traditions. And that came about more from the sociogeographic variations, ethnologies, Zen in Japan. You can even see it in the artwork, like the Thai Buddha figures have that pointy hat. A lot of the Zen Buddhism is very soft, soft color, soft green. Tibetan Buddhism is bright and gaudy. We have a lot of bling, okay? But why? So you're up on the Tibetan plateau. In the wintertime, it can be very gray up there, so they bring color into their homes and into their lives through bright, vivid colors. Okay? So a lot of this is just just because of where it is, okay? And again, you have the same thing in Christianity, Methodist, Baptist, are you up north, are you down south? You know, different cultural changes, but the core is always the same. The core is always the same. There's two main strains, Hinayana, Theravadan, or Mahayana. Same thing again. The Theravadan is more of that nirvana, you hear that word, which is more that personal reaching of the enlightenment. Mahayana does it in order to benefit all people. Okay, so the personal, the great vehicle, the lesser vehicle, but they're not really like this, because in order to be able to help others, you have to become enlightened yourself. You can't save somebody if you don't know how to swim yourself. So that you kind of work on these things together. There isn't one better, they're just different. Anytime anybody's got a question. Tibetan Buddhism has 4 different schools. You'll hear this. So you were Kagyu, okay? So the Karmapa and all of that over there. Nyingma, Sakya, Gelug. We're Gelug here, but again, same thing, different focuses. Same core, same thing, different focuses. The Dalai Lama is Gaelic, Kadampa Center is Gaelic. In fact, the word Kadampa means those who take the Buddhist practice into their personal lives. Okay? So, yes, sir.
In the tiny font, it's all found in the West? Are they all
These are all found. You will all find these in the West.
Oh,
yeah.
You can find them in the West, but they're not found in the West.
They're not founded. No. No, not founded. Nothing in Buddhism was founded in the West at all. We are borrowing this and pulling it over, okay? But you can find all of these denominations in the West. You can find actually almost every single type of Buddhism, whether Zen, they're all over here now. They're all over here now.
So what is Tibetan Buddhism
So
per se versus the others?
Okay, so Tibetan Buddhism is, the way that I kind of tend to describe it, is a very scholarly, step-by-step school of study. Okay, it's a very, very much the B to C. They've got, lists. We've got lists for list's sake. 62 of those, 42 of those. It's a very methodical school of study. Yes.
Lam Rim Chenmo.
So the Lam Rim Chenmo is what he's saying. It's the original Buddhism for Dummies. Okay, it is the actual graduated path to enlightenment, and it's a book of which there are 52 million different commentaries on it, because we can't actually study the real books. I mean, sure, you can try. They were originally written in Pali and then changed to Sanskrit, and so it can be a very challenging thing. There's no copyright on this stuff. You can pull them down, you can look at them, but the Lam Rim Chenmo is the actual study. I'm not going to say it's our Bible, because it's not what we do, but it's our syllabus. It is our curriculum. So it's a very, very methodical study. In fact, you'll find out there some of the DB books. There's five set book on the Lam Rim that's brought out, and that's probably one of the best ones that I've read. And that's what the Discovering Buddhism class. Everything in this center, you're going to find the Lam Rim is touching it. Okay, so all of our curriculum, all of the things that we study, it somehow folds into that Lam Rim. Okay. It's been good. So everything about Buddhism is about the mind. Everything. Developing the positive states leads to happiness. Removing the negative removes suffering. And again, we're gonna keep coming back here. We're gonna keep coming back here. So we've got that definition. How far can I go? Sure. I'm gonna go back over here. So, what do you need to be able to do here? The truth of suffering, this would be like going to the doctor. Okay? You got to find out why you're suffering. What do you suppose this one is? Oh, it's a duh. How many of us go to that doctor, how many of us get that medicine, and how many of us leave that medicine sitting on the counter and not do it? My husband is the worst for that. He'll take it for 2 days and then he's done. It's take the medicine, okay? Take it. Actually do it. You've got it, but you've got to do it. Okay? And here's where the miss comes from. We all know, don't we? I mean, y'all sitting here, y'all came in here because of this, right? We pretty much have a good idea, because a lot of you talked about what your thing was, what you really wanted to focus on, okay? And then you're pretty much knowing that we're going to be able to find some answers here, but what are you going to do with it? This is right here is where this kind of missing link happens right here, because we all can take it so far, but this is part of why we call it practicing Buddhism. This is not a religion. This is not a, like, one time a week I'm going to go and I'm going to read this stuff and then I'm going to be better. We got to practice it. You want to try to do this every day. This is part of, you're now hopefully going to, and it doesn't, this is not a religion. You can be Christian and study this. You can be Jewish and study this. It's the methodologies for being happier. But we got to do it. So that's what this part is. I think a lot of people can get here, and then we get here. Or then we start, and then we give up. We get busy. We go on vacation, go on a trip, and all of a sudden we're off. I do this all the time. Okay? And then what do? Well, then we quit. Or we beat ourselves up. Okay? Especially here in the Western world. We are really good at doing that. You know what? Forget it. Pick it back up again. This isn't going anyplace. Later, when we start talking about rebirth, I'll tell you how long you've been doing this. So we just pick it back up. Don't beat yourself up. Just keep going. Go again. Do it again. I'll go with times where I don't meditate for months. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I've got to get back to this. And as soon as I go in and sit down, it's like I'm going home. Okay? So it's don't beat yourself up. You are doing the best you can. We live in a crazy world, and we're all doing the best we can. And just don't beat yourself up over this stuff. So we're talking about working with the mind. So what is the mind? Got a few more minutes. What I'd like to do is go for a little bit. I'd like to do another brief meditation at the end. My plan is always, to introduce you to this stuff, is to maybe do a meditation at the beginning of class, brief meditation at the end, and then we'll do just concentration meditations to get you guys going. And then maybe at the end, we'll do an analytical meditation so you can really see the difference. Okay, so that's my goal. I'm hopefully going to stop in about 10 minutes and we can just do a brief meditation and let you go. And again, if you've got any questions, and we'll get into some of this a little bit better. Okay, so let's talk about what our mind is. Let's talk about what our mind is and what our mind isn't, because this is what we're studying. So the mind, consciousness, you can use that a little bit interchangeably. Non-physical, the mind is not the brain. We are not talking about your physical brain. We're talking about your mind. It's clear, kind of similar to a clear sky, a clear lake, a mirror. It's clear. It is aware, okay? From us, we have sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, and we add one more, mental awareness. So all of these normal things that we think of at the senses, but it also is mentally aware. And its function, its job is to know. That's what its job is. It has no beginning and no end and is constantly changing. Okay? The fact that it is constantly and continually changing, there's the power. There's the power right there, because that means that we have the ability to change our minds. We have the ability to work with our minds because it is constantly changing. So we can work with it so that we can change it to more positive. We can do it. This is so empowering to me, okay? And we have the ability to change our minds. You have it. You have the power. So what does it mean to be Buddhist? It means we're working with these things. It means we're working with this practice. And it means we're not looking out there. We're looking in here. Okay? The things that make us happy are not out there. We know that they're in here. You know this because some of the people that you know that you think, I don't know how they can be. I'm a cancer survivor. I've got a couple of friends going through cancer right now. All right, so they're in some deep places. They have senses of humor. You know, some of these people are the happiest people I know. Some of your friends probably have a lot of money, some probably don't have money. Does it matter how much money they have as to who they're happy or not? You know, what are their things? It's not really about the thing. So it's really interesting to see where people's different happiness levels are and why they are and you know, where they get some of that contentment. But this is really powerful to me. This is where I get a lot of that, you know, lose the victimization, lose the stuff. I've got the power. Okay? I can be sitting in that line at the grocery store complaining because I've got a slow teller up there, or I can just know that it's okay. I can choose. I get to choose. Everything has a cause, okay? And because the mind is non-physical, it can only be produced by something else that's non-physical. Like I said, we're just going to touch on this because we'll get into it deeper later. Each moment of mind is produced by a previous moment of mind. This is part of that continuity of consciousness. I can demonstrate. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Chocolate protein shake.
What did you have for dinner last night?
Hot dogs and a salad.
Yeah. What'd you do for your birthday last year?
My wife took me to the Dominican Republic.
Okay. So I can give him moments to remember, right? And so we skipped. I can do dinner last night, lunch. Okay, let's just follow that trail if I just did food. Okay? You could remember those moments, right? If we broke down every mental moment, we're saying that there's 65 mind moments in the snap of fingers, right? 65? Okay, 65 mind moments just went by. Okay, we just can't see it. Okay, we can do gross memories, right? We can do the big ones, okay? But stop and think about it. Break that down. Just to get up and go to your refrigerator, get a beer or a glass of water, okay? You don't just automatically do it. First, you have to have that thought, you know, oh, I'm thirsty. No, it's like I've got to get up. I've got to move my legs. All those little things that we just do unconsciously, right? You know, I've got to go around the dog. Somebody else is going to want something. So you just start following these mind moments, and it's getting that awareness. You can sit and do it. Just think about your birthdays. Just go for however old you are and think about your birthdays every year. You can follow that line all the way back. You can get closer mind moments. Just making sense. We're going to start getting these concepts, but it's just following these mind moments. Because the mind is non-physical, it can only be produced by something non-physical. So one moment of mind will bring the next moment of mind. Okay? We'll get into this deeper. We're just skating the surface here. Okay, a previous moment of mind. So this is part of that continuity of mind. Again, we'll get into this a little bit more. I just have to start throwing some of the stuff at you a little bit. Kind of there, a little bit there, not there at all. You understand the concept? To be able to float this? I'll stop there. Okay, so 4 Noble Truths, suffering, lots of suffering, take the path. You understand the negative and positive, clear enough, okay? Those are mind moments, okay? So we're going to be working on that mind. This is how this stuff starts to kind of come together a little bit. Make sense? All right. Any questions? So next time, we're going to go into a little bit more of the definitions of some of these things, the wheel, and how this really starts to break down and how do we use these things. And we'll get into suffering, and we'll define suffering. because what we talk about in Tibetan Buddhist suffering is very different than what you guys are thinking suffering is. So that will help too. So we'll go into some of those causes and what those delusions are. So how do we actually start to work with our minds for some of this? So we'll get a little bit deeper on some of the concepts. Because again, once we wrap our minds around what these concepts are, then we start using the methodologies to break them down. Okay? So, homework. I use my red light thing, okay? So that works for me. One of the other things that we talked about when we did this was that motivation and dedication. If you start thinking in that terminology, because again, it's about becoming aware of what's happening in your day. We get so mindless and just go through our day, right? So just one big concept is as soon as you can in the morning, I want you to think about this. As soon as you can tomorrow morning when you wake up, think, I'm going to set myself up for a good day. I want a good day today. My intention here is to have a good day. I'm going to try to be nice. I'm going to try not to lose my temper. I'm going to just try to just have a good day. So just as soon as you can in the morning, first cup of coffee or whatever, think, oh, Sandy said I'm supposed to have a good day today. Okay? So I want you to think about setting an intention for a good day. Then tomorrow night when you go to bed, I want you to dedicate. So I want you to stop and think when you go to bed, I want you to go, you know what? I did a lot today. I tried. You know, there was like 5 times that I really thought about it today. That was really good. I'm really happy about that. You know, there's a couple times I could maybe have done something a little better, but think about it. So think about it at the beginning of the day and think about it at the end of your day, because I'm just going to have you just start to capsulize your day. I do intentions and dedications before meetings. I do intentions to dedication. I try to do this throughout the day for different things because it helps me become aware of what I'm actually doing during the day. We just go through things so mindlessly. It's just try to think about what can I do that is going to be more helpful. Now, I'm skipping over a lot of things here, but some of you came in with some pretty deep issues that you would like to cover and find out about more. And as we go through some of this stuff, there will be things that I think that would be helpful. Okay? So just kind of hold some of this, you know, try to stay with it, because there are things, you know, some of these are really deep things, and having the loss of a loved one and the loss of a parent and stuff is very challenging, and there are things that help on that big level too, very much, okay? And we will get to those when we do some of our larger concept work. Because I want to make sure that people get what they're really looking for here. And if at any time you feel like you're not, come and talk to me, because I may not have the answers, but I know people who do. All right? My email is up there, sandraleecarlson@gmail.com. If you're comfortable asking questions in class, great. If you want to ask me something privately, please do. Again, I don't know, I know a fraction, okay, but I know people who know a lot, okay? So if I can't answer the question, I will find somebody who does. So feel free to email me. I think that's about it. Let's do one very brief meditation, and then we can stop for the day. That wasn't just frantic, because I haven't led this class in about a year, and I always feel like, where's all my stuff? Okay, so we did the bare attention, and again, all of these handouts are on that website. I'm going to do the 7-point meditation posture again, and then I'm going to do what's called scanning the body. This is kind of a fun one. Okay, 7-point meditation posture. I'm not going to read it that thoroughly. Maybe I will this time, but then we're going to go through it faster because you guys are going to start getting it. Okay, legs. Get your legs comfortable. Cross-legged. Somebody wants to try a mat and then move, that's fine too. Arms, your hand, right hand on the left, thumbs together just under your navel. Brings your arms out to allow the air to circulate. Your back is straight, shoulders back, a little bit regal position. Eyes can be closed or slightly open, looking a little bit down. Your jaw and your mouth relaxed, your tongue behind your teeth on the upper part of your palate, and your head slightly tilted forward. Focus your attention on your breathing and breathe naturally. Become present in the moment and place where you are, and just focus the mind on the rising and falling of your shoulders and chest as you inhale and exhale gently. Allow your mind to settle, become calm and present, ready to engage in the meditation. Again, we're going to create a motivation. Create an altruistic motivation for the meditation session. And think that you're meditating not just for your own individual benefit, but you're taking the time now to meditate and develop our minds to become wiser and kinder people, able to be of benefit to all beings. Focus your attention on your physical body. Now focus your attention on the lowermost point of your body, where your body is in contact with the earth. Feel the substance and earthy character of your body. Concentrate for a moment on that contact, on the weight and substance of this physical form, and pay attention to the character of your mind and your consciousness while focusing here. Now slowly and mindfully move your attention upward through your body. Pay close attention to every aspect of your body and your physical sensations. Note areas of tension and relax them. Note sensations of coolness or warmth. Note places where one part of your body is touching another. Move upward through your legs and your hips, your hands on your lap. Note the curves of your body silhouette. Move upward, your belly, your waist, the curves of your arms. Continue to move upward, the rising and falling of your chest with your breathing, the curves of your shoulders. Keep moving upward slowly and mindfully. Pay special attention to your shoulders and neck and jaw. If there's tension there, relax those. And move still upward, the tilt of your head, until you reach the crown of your head. Allow your attention to rest at your crown for a moment. And pay attention to the character of your mind, your consciousness, while focusing here. Is your mind's character different while concentrating here than it was when you were focusing on the lowermost point of your body? What differences can you note? Now slowly move your attention back downward through your body in the same way. Slowly and mindfully. Noting everything about your body as you move your attention back downward. Bring your attention all the way back down to the cushion of the floor, where your body is in contact with the earth. And again, focus your concentration at this point, and note the character of your consciousness when focusing here. And again, note the nature of your mind state when concentrating here, and any differences from your mind state when concentrating at your crown. We're going to dedicate this positive energy and insights to the well-being and happiness of all living beings. Bring your attention back to the room. So later when we do it, I'll do one where I'll tell you, because one of the issues that a lot of people have when they're meditating is the issue of time. That was always one of my things. It's like you try to close your eyes. Well, has it been 2 minutes? Has it been 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? For whatever reason, I couldn't let go of time. So maybe next time I'll do it and I'll tell you, I will keep time for you and we'll only do 2 minutes. And then let you start to kind of get into it a little bit more so you can see it. That's it. I'm going to always try to start and end on time. I'm available after class if anybody has any questions. You've got my email. let me know. Thank you so much for coming. I know this is kind of a strange thing for some people to do, and I commend you for taking that step out of the circling. And thanks for coming. Have a very good night. Hopefully I'll see you next week. If not, I'll understand. Guys, have a good one.
On a very philosophical note,